Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Billy Chabalenge. I'm previous Commonwealth scholar, as you can see from the presentation. In this video, I'll be talking about preparation for the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, especially for those who are very new to this scholarship. If you have no information, you don't know where to start, this is a video for you to be able to know how you'll be able to apply for the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. And I do provide scholarship tips, so I would encourage you to subscribe to this channel and also share with others so that they can also benefit from these tips that I'll be providing. So in this video, it's purely meant for new beginners. If you have applied for other Commonwealth scholarship or you've watched my previous video on the Commonwealth General Scholarship, I'll basically be giving similar tips in terms of how to write the essays, but the other details are more specific to the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. So please stay tuned up to the end of this video. So in this video, I'm going to start by just introducing what the scholarship is about, what are the objectives of the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. Then I'll talk about what it covers, the key timelines that you need to be aware of and what has changed from the previous applications. Then I'll talk about how you are able to apply, and this is very important for new applicants who have no idea on how they can apply for this scholarship. Then I'll talk about how you'll be able to be selected, what is the criteria that they use to select those who've applied and are going to be successful. Then I'll talk about the common mistakes that you need to avoid. Then I'll give the essay tips on how to answer all the essays that are provided in the application. And then that will be the end of this video. So let's begin with the introduction. What are the Commonwealth scholarships? So before we go into the introduction, I just want to mention to those who are new that this Commonwealth scholarship provides different scholarships. There are about 7, but this video is specifically meant for the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, and the information that is contained is purely based on my experience. It does not contain information that is considered preparatory to the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission. Is based on my experience, and please, if you need to verify any of the information, I do advise that you go back to the website where you are going to find information. But questions are welcome. You can drop them in the comment section and I'll be able to respond. So this video is specifically for the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship and not these other scholarships. So what are the objectives of the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship? The objective of this scholarship is intended to help Commonwealth countries by training skilled and qualified professionals and academics. So Commonwealth Scholarship is academically inclined. So those who want to pursue academia life, or they want to contribute to the development of the countries where they come from, where they are eligible. These are Commonwealth countries. There are about 44 countries that are eligible for this Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. So if you come from one of those 44 countries, then you can apply, and the objective is that you align your application to the skills that you're going to gain and how you're going to apply them to the development of your country, or how you're going to apply them in terms of your academic life. That is the key to winning this scholarship. You either align your application to demonstrate how your skills are going to help you to advance your development in the country, or in your academic life to contribute. And it comes into 6 themes. So there are 6 themes that you'll be able to apply from. And depending on the field, there is science and technology, there is health system and strengthening, we have promoting of prosperity and others. So there are about 6 themes that you are able to see from the screen. And who are the intended beneficiaries? Well, one of them, I've already talked about it, is those who are coming from Commonwealth countries. However, this is meant for those who have demonstrated to be of high quality postgraduate student. If you want to study at a master's level, and this is only for master's level, so if you want to apply for PhD, then this scholarship is not for you. You need to come from the least developed or middle income countries and also fragile countries, and these are the ones that have been listed on the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship website, which are about 44 countries. The other thing is that you do not need to have studied in any other high income country before. So if you've done your undergraduate from the UK, from any other European country, in the US or in Japan, in China, and other countries that may be considered as higher income countries, then your chances of getting this scholarship are reduced, and you need to justify within the application how you were sponsored. Otherwise, if you studied on a distant basis or an online kind of studies, then you are still eligible to apply for this scholarship. So only those who have studied full time in a higher income countries but are coming from these eligible countries are still not eligible to apply. So that is one of the eligibility criteria that you need to consider as you are applying for the scholarship. When it comes to what the scholarship covers a number of opportunities that you'll be able to gain. The first one is that your tuition fee will be paid in full by the Commonwealth Scholarship, so you would not have to worry about paying the school fees. So to be a full tuition fees will be covered. The cost of the visa, usually the visa is what they call gratis, or it's free. You'll be given a link where you are going to apply for free as a Commonwealth Shared Scholar. An economic ticket will be given for you to fly coming to the UK for your studies, and once you complete your studies, going back to your home country. So this is usually from the nearest airport up to your university, and also from your university up to the nearest airport in your country. There will be an allowance which is called the warm clothing allowance that is usually given at the beginning of the studies, and this is to just help you buying clothes and settling in as you are trying to start studying in the UK. Then for those coming from countries that are eligible or that require to submit a TB certificate for them to complete the visa process, there is an amount that is usually refunded as a contribution to your TB expenses that you are going to incur as you are applying for the visa. Then there is what is called the thesis grant. So this is usually an amount that is given to you, which is paid by the university, although it is funded by the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission. They will pay you to help you undertake your research as part of your master's. If you need to go and do some data collection, or you need to buy some reagents in the lab, that is the amount that will be used. And also you can use that amount for the thesis to write your thesis if it needs to be written and also printed, and such other expenses that will be required during your research project. A stipend, which is usually given per quarter. This will be given to you to ensure that you are able to have an upkeep on your monthly basis, but it's usually given per quarter and is paid and funded by the university. So this is one of the differences between the Commonwealth General Scholarship and the Shared Scholarship. So the Shared Scholarship, when it comes to the stipend, this is funded by the university. For the General Scholarship, your stipend will be given by the Scholarship Commission. There is a children allowance for those who are either widowed, or they are divorcees, or they are single parent. There is a contribution that is given to each child as long as they are going to be staying with you. You are going to come with them in the UK, then this allowance will be able to be given to you. However, if you're not coming with them, then you will not be able to be given this allowance. Even when you are coming with your husband, you are coming with your wife, this allowance will not be given to your spouse. It will only be given to a child if you are divorced, you are widowed, or you are a single parent. But the process for applying for the visa will be incurred by yourself. So this will just be a contribution to your monthly allowances or your monthly upkeep for the children if you come with them. And for any person who has some disabilities, there is additional support that is provided to such kind of individuals by both the university and the Scholarship Commission to just ensure that they are able to successfully complete their studies in the UK. Right. Well, now, when it comes to the application timeline, this is also important so that you know what to expect, what is going to happen once you go through this journey of applying for this scholarship. So the first part is that the scholarship was now open. It opened on the 12th of November, which is online. So all applications have to go through online. So since this has opened, you need to apply online through the central portal, which is called the CSC portal. It's available on the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship online on the website. I'm going to show how you'll be able to navigate and register if you do not already have an account. If you have an account, you've applied for the Commonwealth General Scholarship, you do not need to create another account. You can still use that same account as a returning user and complete this application. So for this scholarship, only applies to a selected number of courses that are published on the website. So before you embark on this journey to apply for the scholarship, go through the listed courses and see if there are courses that are of interest to you before you waste your time applying for the scholarship. If you identify 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 courses that you think you can study on this scholarship, then you are now free to go and apply for this scholarship. You can apply to as many as you are eligible for this scholarship, and you can use the same information as long as you are clear, you are justifying how the skills that you are going to gain in those courses will be utilized in your contribution to the development of your country and also in your academic life if you are moving into academia. And therefore, since there are only selected courses that you can apply for, it's not open to any course that is provided in the UK as a master's course. The nominating bodies are the universities. So each university has been given a number of scholarships that they can award. So the university may have 10 courses that they are offering, but from those 10 courses, maybe they are only going to award 8 or they are going to award 10, which means they are going to only award one person per course. So these applications are very competitive, and it's therefore important that you understand the process and you put in the best application for you to beat others to be awarded this scholarship. So all application needs to pass through the central system, which is the CSC Central. And in addition to that, you also need to apply for admission to the university which you are going to select for that course. And that application, you can do it concurrently as you are doing your Commonwealth Scholarship application, or you can do it later. However, I do advise that you check with the respective university on their additional selection criteria that is required for you to apply for the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. They might have some additional application that are required. And also the application form, there is a component where it requires you to indicate the application number. So if you want to indicate that application number, you can start the process of applying. If the admission process for that course has already opened, when you check the university website, you can log in and start the application process for you to generate the application number, which you are then now going to include in your application form for the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. And once you complete all this application and everything is done, be minded that the deadline for this scholarship is 9th December 2025. So you have less than 30 days for you to make a complete application and submit on time for you to be considered. And there are a few number of documents that I'm going to explain that are required for you to have a complete application. So please put this in mind that the scholarship is closing on the 9th of December, and therefore you need to have submitted your application to the Commonwealth Scholarship portal by that time. So once that period passes, the universities, they will read through your applications and vet using their selection criteria and the Commonwealth selection criteria. And if they find your application to be suitable, most of the universities, they usually communicate to those that they've nominated or those that you've put on reserve, that you are on reserve or you've been nominated for the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, and the commission will give you a final approval. So they'll be able to communicate, but they are required to provide a list of those they are going to nominate and those who will be on the reserve list by March 2026. And once they do that, the Commonwealth and the Commonwealth Commission is going to confirm with you by giving you what we call the notice of award by June and around July. And once you accept, there will be the other processes that will need to be finalized, and therefore by July to August, they'll be able to issue what is called the confirmation of award, which is the final award letter that you will be able to use and apply for your visa as you start. So basically, in a nutshell, this is the process that you are going to undertake for you to apply for this scholarship, and the timeline that it's going to take. So it's a bit of a lengthy time for you to be finally awarded, and by August to October next year, you'll be able to be in the UK and start your studies should you reach the final stage of being awarded. So there are no interviews. You only need to put in a strong application which the university can accept. Right, so what are some of the key changes that you need to be aware for this scholarship, which are very a bit different from the previous application? The first thing that you're going to notice is the opening period and the closing period. As I've already mentioned, the scholarship opened on the 12th of November, which is 2-3 days ago, and the deadline is on the 9th of December, so you need to have submitted your application by 9th of December. I usually encourage people to submit on time to avoid system glitches, because sometimes the system might be slow and you may fail to submit. So I usually encourage you to submit a week before the deadline. So in this case, I'm encouraging everyone who is applying for this scholarship to ensure that you submit your application by the 2nd of December, and you are going to be safe. The other change that you're going to see is the new application system that has been launched across all the Commonwealth Scholarship, and the template is on the website, or you can simply go register online and you'll be able to see the application form and how it is. If you have applied for the Commonwealth General Scholarship, then you are already familiar with the form that is provided. So you simply complete the same way you would have completed the scholarship, the general scholarship that closed last month. The other thing that you're going to notice is that you still need to, for this time, you have what we call a two-factor authentication system for you to log in. So every time you're logging in, you'll be required to include this authentication for you to successfully log in the application and complete the sections that you want to complete. You do not need to complete all the section at once. You can save and come back and complete at a different time. And there will be a password that is going to be allocated to each application that you're going to make, and each application will come with a reference number. So you can take note of those reference numbers, but you'll be able to see them on the website, on the application portal. What is key is to take note of the password that you are going to be using every time you need to log in, because that password is very key. And therefore, please take note of that password. It's important every time you are going to be applying, you need that password. The other thing is that uploading of files, you need to do it one at a time. So you're going to see different tabs where you need to upload files. So if you are providing academic transcripts, you need to merge all your transcript. If you have two degrees, or you have a degree and a master's, you merge all the transcripts and upload them as one PDF. If you have different degree certificates, again, you merge them and you upload them as one. The other thing is that once you submit your application, there is no editing, and therefore, once you complete your online application, before you submit, please proofread your work, go through your work, and once you submit, that is the final submission. You will not be able to edit anything. Right. The other key changes that you're going to see is the way you navigate through the system. You'll be required to ensure that you save before you continue. So you click on this button that you are able to see below for you to be able to successfully go to the next stage. So you click on that button, you save, and then you continue. If you want to exit, you click on the save and then you exit. Do not refresh the browser. If you refresh the browser, you're going to be logged out and you need again to get your password and logging into the application system. So that is what you need to take note of in this key change to the application portal. So how do you apply for the scholarship? If you are new to this scholarship, you need to start by creating an account. If you had applied for the Commonwealth General Scholarship, then you do not need to create an account. You can use your old account and the password you go in as an existing user. So this process will start from those who are new to the scholarship who have not yet created an account, how you are able to create an account. So the first step is for you to go to the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship page. And once you go to the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship page, you click on how to apply. And under how to apply here, you're going to see where there is this link which is showing CSC portal. So you click on that CSC portal and it's going to take you to the online application system where you are going to complete your registration for you to log in. And you're going to land on this page, which is going to show you this page, welcome to the Commonwealth Scholarship Application Portal. And this is what I was saying. So if you've already applied for the Commonwealth General Scholarship, you click on logging in as an existing user. If you are a new, then you create a new application. So for new applicants, if you create a new application, then you're going to see this tab opening up where you need now to enter your details, complete the details, which are very simple, you just for identification, and then you click on submit. And once you submit, you are going to be required to register for a 2 authentication factor. So you include your email address and you confirm the code that you have received, and you choose how you want to receive the 2 authentication factor. If you want to receive it through your email or you want to receive it through the app. So if you want to receive it through the app, you need to download the Microsoft app on your phone. If you want to receive through email, you include the emails, and that is where the code will be sent every time you want to log in the system. And once that happens, then you would have successfully registered. And once you log in, you're going to land on this page. So this is where everyone, those who already have an account and those who are new, who have just logged in through the process that I've just from explaining, are going to land on. So for you to create the Commonwealth Scholarship Shared Application, you click on this tab which is saying New Application. And once you click on it, you are going to see the only program that is available, that is open at the moment, is the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. So this tab is going to come as the only program that is available, and then you click on it. Then this form is going to come through. And once this form comes through, you enter all the details, and this is where you're also going to select the course. So each course that you select is going to be linked to each only application, and an application number is going to be issued for each. So you complete the details, your email address will be automatically at this stage. So you select the university, and that's why I was encouraging you to have first gone to the Commonwealth Scholarship website, check through the courses that are eligible for this scholarship. You look through the courses and select those that you think you can apply for and the names of the universities. Then at this stage, you'll be able now to select the course and you select the university. And then once you do that, then you confirm that you are eligible for this scholarship by clicking yes down there. And once you click that you are eligible for this scholarship, then you'll be able to submit. And once you submit, that application is going to be given this reference number. So that will be the reference number that is attached to that course and that university. If you want to create another application for another course at another university, again, you start the process from new application. You come to the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, then this form will come in, and once this form comes in, you select the second university and the second course, and so forth. So you can apply to as many courses as you wish to apply, as long as those courses are in the system and they are also available on the website. So start by identifying the number of courses and the universities that you want to apply, so that it will be easy for you to complete these sections once you start completing your application. And you are free to provide the same kind of information that you are going to include in one of the application. It can be considered. So for example, if you're applying for public health from 3 or 4 different universities, you can use the same information, because you are going to gain the same kind of skills, and it's all about you and how you want to demonstrate how those skills that you're going to benefit are going to demonstrate how you are going to contribute to the development of your country. And therefore, you can still use the same information. There's no need of you panicking that time is limited. I need to apply for 5 different courses, so I need to create 5 different essays, and you can still use the same essays. There will be only slight changes, for example, on why you've selected that university and why you selected that course. That is where you may have those changes by including the type of modules that you are specifically interested at that university. Otherwise, the information about yourself, about your previous experience will be the same, so you can just replicate that information throughout all the applications that you're going to create. Right. So once you've done that, then you'll be now required to complete all the different sections of the application. So this application has different sections. So there is the first part, which has the details. So in this section, this is where I'm going to include information about you, the details about you, your names, your address, and everything. Then the second part talks about academics. So this is where now you're going to include the previous studies that you undertook, which university, in which country, what was your grade, from which date to what date did you study for each country. So I think there are about 10 slots that you can put. So you can include, if you've done 3 or 4 universities, you can include them. And please note that you are only including higher education qualification or academic. So do not include your primary or your secondary if that is a system in your country. Only include your higher education qualification, such as your degree or your master's. Professional information and background. This section you are going to include your previous work experience and profession, which organization you worked for, from which period to what period. This is where you're going to include that information. References, this is where you're going to include the list of 3 referees and their contact details, so those that you think are supposed to provide the references for you, and they made an emphasis that one of the referees should be from your university where you studied, your recent academic qualification. The other one has to be from your current employer if you are employed. If you are not employment, then you can provide another form of reference. The third one can be from a person who really know about you, is a personal referee. Then for those who have studied in the UK, you also be required to provide the 4th referee, which is from someone from the UK. The next section will be about developmental impact essay. So this essay, we're going to talk more about how to answer all the parts. It comes in 4 parts. This is where you're going to write the essays and submit them. So you can get the question, write your essays offline, and then just come and paste them once you are done refining the essays. The next component is about career plan essay. So this is another essay that talks about career plan, how you are going to apply your skills after you've completed the studies, if you'll be awarded. So those again will be essays that you need to complete. Then the next section talks about the proposed study in the UK. This talks about what you are proposing to study, why those courses, why that university, and the objectives that you want to achieve during your studies. That is what information you are going to include in this section. The next section talking about your personal statement, any voluntary and leadership activities that you've done. So that is where you're going to answer that essay component. Then there's a checklist which you need to check to confirm that you are eligible and to confirm other requirements of the other required information, which include some questionnaire about where you heard about the scholarship and other useful information that the Scholarship Commission may want to use. The next section talks about equity and diversity. So in this section, they just want to know more about you, like your religious background, if you are disabled, and any other information that is relevant to them. And then the section that follows is about attachments. So this is where now we are going to have attachments. So for your application to be considered complete, you need to have included your identification copy, which is the copy of your passport. Without uploading the passport, your application is not going to be considered complete. So you need to upload a copy of your passport. The second thing that is required for your application to be considered complete is the result transcript. So you need to include a detailed result transcript that shows the course that you studied, the results that you got, if you got 50% or you got a GPA of 3, all those results for each course needs to be clearly seen on the transcript. So you need to provide a detailed transcript. And if they are not in English language, an authorized copy is supposed to be provided as well to show that those courses are very detailed. So you need to provide detailed information. The other thing that you need to upload for your application to be considered complete is the degree certificate. So for all the certificates that you have, if you have 2 or 3 degree certificates, you need to merge them and include them in this application. The other thing that is required for your application to be considered complete is your references. So you need to submit at least 2 references before you submit your application. And these 2 references, the first one should come from your previous academic studies, your previous universities where you studied. The second one from your most recent employer, or if you are not in any employment, that can come from your personal referee. But for your application to be considered complete, you need to have at least 2 references. And there is usually a question where people ask, to whom should these references be addressed to? So remember, I've said that you can apply to 2 or 3 or more different courses or courses that you are and universities that you are eligible for. So you can address these references, or your referee can address the references to the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission. Why is that important? If they address them to the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission, then it means that you do not need to have multiple copies of the references for each application that you are going to make, especially if you are applying for the same course. You can use the same references for the multiple courses as long as the courses are related and the references that is being given is detailed enough to enable you gain the scholarship. Then additionally, you need to give a university offer. That is if you already have, but if you do not have, you do not need to worry much. Go to the Commonwealth to the university website, check their eligibility criteria. You can also email them and find out more about their process. In the application form, you will only be required to include at least the application number for your admission. So I'm encouraging everyone to at least register for the course that you want to include in your application and get that reference number which you are going to include in your application. But if the course is not yet open, that is well justified. The universities will usually communicate with you if you are nominated for you to complete the admission process, but do not leave it to the end. You can still check, and if all the courses have already opened, then there's no need of you waiting. You can go and do as I've advised. Again, I'm emphasizing on the need of you avoiding system glitches by ensuring that you apply on time. Please try by all means to submit by the 2nd of December for you not to be having system glitches, especially towards the end of towards the deadline, because a lot of people want to submit, the system becomes slow, it may crash, and that will affect you if you are trying to submit. And once you upload the document, the last component that you're going to see is the summary. So this summary is going to give you a summary of the whole of your application, and this is at a stage where you need to proofread the information that you've included. And once you've proofread and everything is okay, then you hit the submission button and your application will be submitted. You receive an email that your application has been received, and when you log in, you'll be able to see that application has now moved to those applications that have been submitted in your portal. So in a nutshell, that is the process that you can apply, and I hope this is useful to those who are new to this scholarship. So let's move on now to look at the selection criteria. You've submitted your application. Now, how do you expect that this application is going to be graded for you to be awarded or not? So there are 3 things that they look at for them to grade your application. The first one is your merit as a candidate. So you need to have met certain criteria, and these criteria are called primary and secondary. What they use is they've categorized them in either primary requirements and secondary requirements. So primary requirements make have a more weight than the secondary requirements. So secondary requirements may only give you an added advantage if you are competing with someone who does not have the secondary requirement when you have the secondary requirement. So you stand an upper hand, and therefore it is important that you think through before you apply what are some of the information that you need to include in the application form, so that you meet all the primary requirement and also aim to meet at least all the secondary requirement as well. That is going to ensure that you score a high mark as they are grading your application. So the first thing that you're going to look at is their candidate merit. And when it comes to the primary indicators, the first thing that they will look at is your examination results. That's why they are emphasizing that you provide transcripts that shows the results, the mark that you obtain for each course. Without that, if you just upload something that is showing the summary of the courses without the results that you got or the grades, then you are going to score a low mark on your examination result as a primary indicator. Same applies to the transcripts. So we are looking at the certificate and the transcript, and also the referee report is also considered as a primary indicator. So please, as you are getting your references from the referee, let them not just say that they know you for 5 years, you are qualified to get this scholarship, and it ends there. No. Emphasize that they give you a detailed referee that demonstrates why you are a suitable candidate for the scholarship, why you are a suitable candidate for that course, and how they think that you are able to manage to complete that course of study. So it should be a detailed reference. If you want more information on what they should include, please go back to the Commonwealth Scholarship website. There is information that is provided on what the referee should include in their letter, and that is the information that you can give them for them to give you a comprehensive report. If you just provide the one sentence referee, you are already disadvantaging yourself. We are going to score a low mark in this area. So please ensure that they include all the details on why they think you are a suitable candidate for the scholarship. Then when it comes to secondary indicators, there are a number of things that they will consider as secondary indicator. The first one is academic prize and award. So if you were awarded while you were studying, you are the best student, the overall best student, all that information, there is a section that you need to include. So please include that information is going to give you an upper hand, because that is considered as a secondary indicator. If you were in the student union, you are a leader, you are a secretary, you are a president, whatever position that you held while in the university, all such information, pack them, include them in that section, because that will show and demonstrate to them that you are capable, and it will give you more points when they are considering your secondary indicators. The other thing that they will consider are your academic achievements. So what did you achieve, which is related to the academic prizes that you are going to get. The other thing that they consider is publication. Have you made any publication from your undergraduate, or if you have done a master's, did you make any publication, or were you part of any team that made any publication? So if you have any publication that you made yourself, or you were part of a team and that information was published, include that information, and there is a section where you have to include the DOI for that publication. So this will be considered as a secondary indicator as well. So include that information. Any professional development undertaken. So if you have done any what we call a CPD, or the continuous professional development, that are linked to the course that you want to apply, or that shows that you have developed more skills, all such information is important to include. So include that information in that section. It's going to act as secondary indicator to give you more marks when they're considering this. And also the experience that you are going to gain through your career and the profession. So the more work experience you have, if you've worked for 5 years, you've worked for 10 years, then as a secondary indicator, you have an added advantage as compared to someone who just graduated last year and they have just done 1 year work. So this is where now those who do medical courses become at an advantage, because immediately you complete, you do internship, so you have that internship component that can also be included. That is an added experience that you can add on to your profile. Okay, so once you include all that information, this will be considered as secondary indicators when they are grading your academic merit or the candidate merit. The second thing that they consider is the quality of your study plan. So you'll be required to write essays to explain on the study plan, what will be your objectives as you are studying, and how do you want to contribute to the development of your country by applying those skills. So the quality of the essays that you're going to write are also going to be graded, and depending on how you are going to justify and convince the reader, then they'll be able to select you when they're considering the quality of your study plan. Again, they have primary indicators and secondary indicators. When it comes to primary indicators, they are going to consider what the statement that you are going to provide, what you want to learn, and how they relate to the objectives, like I have mentioned. So you need to link whatever you're going to learn and how you're going to contribute to the development of your country, and also to the Commonwealth Scholarship themes or the Sustainable Development Goals. And if you come from Africa, you can consider what we call the Agenda 2063. You can check it up and see how you can align your study plan to these requirements. And then the other thing that they are going to consider as part of the primary indicator is the extent to which your course and your institution have been researched. So you need to research your institution, and that's why they're asking you, why do you want to do this course? Why that university? So you need to clearly demonstrate that you have done a thorough research, you understand the course, you understand the university, and you have a topic or a dissertation in mind that you would want to study, and demonstrate how that university is going to help you carry out that study that you want to carry out during your dissertation period. So those are what are considered as primary indicators. When it comes to secondary indicators for quality of your study plan, they look at you having an existing admission to the course. However, this for those universities where the courses are not yet opened, or they'll open even after the closure of the scholarship, this will not disadvantage you. And that's why it has been put as a secondary indicator. You just need to ensure that you provide quality information when it comes to your essays for your primary indicators. And also the clarity of your presentation. So how well you structure your essays, that is also going to act as a secondary indicator. And this is the main essence why I'm going to give you tips on how you can structure your essays to ensure that your essays are top-notch and you structure them in a way that is going to help you clarify the points and also present your information in a clear manner to ensure that you score good marks when it comes to the quality of your study plan. The third component that they look at when they are grading your application will be the developmental impact of your study plan. So they are going to look at what you put in place as convincing them that this is how you want to use your skills. This is how you are going to contribute to the development of your country. So winning a scholarship is not about selfish interest. It's not about what you are going to gain on your own. If you want to win any scholarship, you need to demonstrate that the skills that you are going to gain, quite all right, you are gaining those skills, you as a person. However, the beneficiary of whatever you are going to gain is not yourself. It's not for you to get a high-paying job or to get a good employment or the status in society, but it is how you are going to demonstrate to the development of the country. No one would want to spend over £20,000 for someone who just wants to get a high-paying job. They want to see how you are going to put to good use those skills that you are going to gain by contributing to the development. And this is what I mentioned in the objective of this scholarship, that they want to contribute to the development of Commonwealth countries, both in the developmental sector and also academic. So if there is a gap in your country when it comes to lecturers in that course that you want to study, then you need to hammer that point and demonstrate that qualified personnel with that kind of skills are required for them to contribute in the academic sector. And that is how you'll be able to justify the impact that you create. So what are the primary indicators that they consider? Is the extent to which you are going to explain and demonstrate that your study plan relates to development, like I've mentioned. No one would want to give you or a sponsorship for you to just gain skills that are going to benefit yourself. They have to develop skills that are going to contribute to the development of the country. And that's why there are these agreements between countries. The expected outcomes, so how you are going to structure your study career plan. Where do you want to, or where do you see yourself after you've completed? In what time frame are you going to implement what you are saying you're going to implement, and who is going to benefit? So those essays that have been asked needs to be clearly answered for you to score high in this section of grading your application. And the ways and the extent to which you as a candidate are going to propose how you are going to apply the new skills. So please do not include your selfish gain that you want to gain these skills for you to get a high-paying job or for you to have a high status in society. Demonstrate that you are gaining skills that are going to help you contribute to the development of your country, to the development of other countries within your region, in your continent, and at the global sector. If you are able to do that, then you are a step ahead in terms of getting this scholarship. When it comes to secondary indicators, there are a number of indicators that they consider. One, they will need to consider that you have leadership skills. You provide clear examples where you demonstrated strong communication skills, problem-solving skills, and also strategic thinking. So don't just provide any example, as you are going to see on the strategy that I'm going to explain to you on how you will be able to select what example you're going to include. So select an example that is showing a strong demonstration of your communication skills, a problem solving or strategic thinking, then you're going to score high in this component. You also need to show evidence of your advocacy through your voluntary work. So you need to demonstrate that you've done some voluntary work, even when you are a student or even where you're not a student, within your profession, at church, wherever you've done that kind of voluntary needs to come out in your application. And also, you need to ensure that all the essays are connected. You are able to demonstrate how they are going to impact development at your nation, in the region, and at a global wide. And also the references that you are selecting the CSC theme. So there will be a component where you'll be required to select 3 Commonwealth Scholarship themes. So you select themes that are related to the study that you want to. So for example, if you want to study engineering, and that engineering you've identified gaps that the way the development of your country, maybe there is bad infrastructure, and you think that you're going to gain skills that are going to help you design good infrastructure, and there's also a gap in terms of academia, then you're going to select those themes that talks about these gaps that you've identified. You can, for the one in terms of you contributing to academia, you can choose the sustainable development goal that talks about education, because that is the sector that you're going to contribute. For engineering, you can look at that sustainable development goal that talks about sustainable cities or development, industry, such courses. If you are in health, you're going to study public health, definitely your number 1 should be SDG 3. Then if you're going to contribute in terms of lecturing, again, you're going to look at the one that talks about education. So select the themes that are related to the course that you want to study. Right. So what common mistakes do you need to avoid as you are making this application? There are a number of mistakes, especially those who are new to this application usually make. So this is just to help you understand what new or what common mistakes you should be able to avoid as you are making this application. So the first one is that you need to complete your application using a laptop. Do not complete your application on the phone. It's not advisable to use the phone. So please, I beg you and I advise you to use a computer, and usually use Google Chromes, as it usually works well for these scholarship applications. So use the computer for you to complete the sections of the application and to submit. The second part is that avoid errors and inconsistencies. That's why I'm emphasizing that you need to proofread your application before you finally hit the submission button. Do not be in a hurry. Quite all right to understand that you have less than a month to submit the application, but the earlier you start, the better, so that you leave enough room for you to proofread everything. It also gives room to those mentors that are helping you to proofread your essays if you start early. So avoid inconsistencies or errors in your application. If you include these inconsistencies, the reader is going to know that you are lying or you are just providing information that is not accurate, and the chances of you being awarded will be reduced. Right. The next thing is that the transcript not showing grades. I think I've already mentioned about it. So ensure that your transcript show all the grades for the courses that you did and the overall grading for each of your studies. Weak references, I've also mentioned about it. There's no support statement in this case for this scholarship. I think they provide this information generally for all the Commonwealth scholarships. However, for this scholarship, we are not considering the support statement. We are just considering the references. So you do not need to submit weak references. What are weak references? Weak references is where you just submit one sentenced reference where they are saying, I've known this person for 4 years and he's a good candidate. I recommend him for this scholarship. That is not going to win you the scholarship. As you've seen, references are primary indicators, so you need to put in solid references. Beg your referees to ensure that they write comprehensive and comparing reasons why they think you are suitable for the scholarship. Again, I'm emphasizing the Commonwealth Scholarship website has information on what should be included in the references, and give that information to your referees for them to write comparing references for you. Plagiarism and missing deadlines. So plagiarism, try to avoid copying and pasting from others, from the internet, or even the use of generative AI. Please do not use artificial intelligence, do not use ChatGPT and other generative AI. There's no way someone is going to spend a lot of effort reading through the work that you would have generated within a minute or within 30 seconds using generative AI and give you the scholarship for you to go and study in the UK. Those scholarships are worth over £20,000. That is a lot of money. So please put in more effort, make the essays, make the application your own, and write it on your own. Do not use this generative AI. They may have systems that will also detect the use of such generative AI, and that may disqualify you. So please ensure that you do not plagiarize, you do not use generative AI, and you submit on time to avoid missing out on the deadline. Being vague in your essays. So as you are going to see, I'm going to give you tips on how to structure your essays so that you do not waste space and you are very clear in terms of your explanation. So please understand these points on how you are going to structure each of your essays before you start writing the essays. All right, so that being said, now let's go into essay writing tips. How are you going to write these different essays? So we're going to start with the first essay that you are going to write, and this is the developmental impact essay. I'm going to read the essay, and after reading, then I'll give the tips that will be able to give you how you write this essay. So this is the essay. The first part is just the Commonwealth, mentioning that they are funded by the UK Foreign and Commonwealth. An important selection in the criteria is for the potential contribution that you as an applicant are going to make to international development, which I've been emphasizing so far. If you are awarded, then provide a developmental impact statement in 4 parts. So the first part, how your proposed study relates to the developmental issue at a global, national, and regional level. So underline global, national, and regional level. You need to demonstrate that the problem that you want to solve is relevant at a global, national, and at a local level in your country. The developmental issues that are connected to your chosen CSC theme. So this is the theme that you're going to choose, and that was the reason why I introduced the 6 themes at the beginning of this presentation, and you need to connect your essays to any of the themes that you're going to choose. If you choose health system strengthening, then you need to relate your essays to that theme. The second essay talks about how you intend to apply your new skills and the qualification when you return home. So you need to demonstrate how you're going to immediately use those qualifications. The third part talks about what you expect to change in the developmental terms when you apply those skills. What will be the outcomes? What timeline are you putting? Who is going to benefit from what you are going to put? So, like I was emphasizing, the winning a scholarship is not about selfish gain. It's about demonstrating the impact that you're going to create in your community, in your country, in your region, and in your continent. How that impact works and could be measured, that will be the final part of this essay. So this is the essay that has been asked, and how do you answer this essay? So we're going to start with the part 1. So the part 1, which talks about how your proposed study relates to the global, national, and the local level, and the CSC theme. So how do you answer this part? So for you to answer this part, the first thing is that you need to identify the need in your community, in your country, or in your region. What is the problem that you want to solve that is related to the course that you want to study? You want to go and study engineering. You know that in your country there is poor infrastructure, or structuring of infrastructure, or maybe even in the region. So that would have been the problem that you want to contribute to solve, and you know that the master's in that course is going to give you the skills for you to design proper infrastructure. Then that problem you've chosen, you need to relate it to the course or the research topic that you want to study during your master's. It needs to be related to it. The other thing, you need to show that indeed the problem exists. This is where now you can use data from different sources by showing the percentage. What is the percentage of that problem? Is that problem at 90%? Is that problem at 80%? So you need to demonstrate by using different sources, whether it is World Bank, is a government newsletter, is published articles. That is going to quantify and demonstrate that indeed this problem exists and it is worth solving by you studying that course that you want to study. So ensure that as you are writing this essay, you demonstrate how your study is related to the issue or developmental issues at global level, national level, and in your country, and to the theme that you have chosen. If it is science and technology, you connect it to science and technology. If it is health system and strengthening, you connect it to health system and strengthening. So there are different factors that you can use within your field to show or to demonstrate that indeed the problem exists. So that is what you need to demonstrate in this essay. Okay, the other thing is that you also need to mention the course that you've chosen for this application and relate those issues. How are they related? So if you come from Africa, you can also relate it to the African Agenda 2063, like I mentioned. Otherwise, you can relate it to the Commonwealth Scholarship theme, you can relate it to the Sustainable Development Goals and other developmental goals within your country. If you have, like, for example, you have the national plan or national action plan, read through it. There could be some of the plan that have been put by your government that they want to establish or they want to implement maybe by 2030, by 2032, and see which component applies to your course that you want to apply, and include such information to demonstrate that this is indeed needed in my country. Look at also at your regional level and at a global level in terms of your field, and you demonstrate that that is indeed required. And then you complete your essay for this question by relating it to your passion, to solving that problem, that you are passionate about solving that problem. So you write in paragraphs. You need to have an introduction, the main body where you're going to include all this information that I've talked about, and the conclusion where you are going to now reiterate your passion about solving the problem that you've identified in your community, in your region, and in the continent. Okay, when it comes to the second part of this essay, the developmental impact essay, requires you to demonstrate how you intend now to apply the skills and the qualification that you are going to gain. So for you to answer this part, you need to mention the problem that you've identified. Remember, you've already mentioned it in part 1. So again, mention the problem you identified in part 1. After you mention it, you link the problem to the modules or to the research outcome that you're going to carry out, or the modules that you're going to study, how they are related, or how those modules are going to help you apply the new skills. So you mention the skills that you are going to gain and how you are going to apply them. Is it to carry out research? Is it to create some systems? Whatever it is that is related to your field. So be specific on the skills that you intend to gain and to apply. Mention the area where you need to apply them. Is it in terms of research? Is it in terms of lecturing? Policy advocacy? Are you going to collaborate? Are you going to create systems? Anything in that nature. The main point is that you need to mention the area where you are going to apply. So be specific in your writing. Then highlight the method or the strategy that you are going to use or you intend to implement as you are using the newly acquired skills that you are going to acquire. So be very clear in your explanation. Mention the cause, highlight the problem, and then demonstrate the skills, how they'll be applied, being very clear, and where you are going to apply them. That is how you'll be able to answer part 2 of the essay. When it comes to part 3 requires you now to just write about the expected changes, the outcomes, the time frame, and who is going to benefit. So for you to successfully answer this component, you need to think in terms of developmental impact. Like I've mentioned, winning a scholarship is not about selfish gain, it's about demonstrating the impact. That's why they want you to show them what is going to change in developmental impact, what will be the outcomes, who is going to benefit, what timeline are you proposing. So you need to think in terms of developmental impact and not for your selfish success. Those outcomes should be related to the field of your study. So if you're going to study engineering, they should be related to engineering. You're not going to start talking about other issues. So be straight and direct to the point on the outcomes. So if it is sustainable cities, then you are going to mention that the outcome is that you are going to have resilient infrastructure or environmentally friendly infrastructure, something like that. Then be specific on the time frame. Is it by 2040? Is it by 2030? Is it by 2035? So you need to be very clear as you are writing in terms of the time frame for the application, the time frame when you expect that outcome to be achieved as you are applying your skills. Be specific and direct on who is going to benefit. Like I've given an example of sustainable cities. If you're studying an engineering course, because of having an environmental friendly, the whole country is going to benefit. Maybe government, that infrastructure is going to reduce expenditure by government in terms of the expenses that they are making in terms of controlling the environment and others. So you demonstrate who is going to directly benefit. That is the main point. If it's government, if it's one patient, if 2 patients, 3 patients, it's 2 pupils or 2 students, whichever sector that you are working in and who is going to benefit, mention them. Whether it is 1, it is 1,000, it is what, mention them. That is being specific who is going to benefit. If you are going to implement social work or activities within your community, mention who is going to benefit. Is it the villagers? Is it the pregnant women? Is it the widows or widowers? Whatever the beneficiary is, clearly mention who's going to benefit. Then as you are writing your essay, you can write using what I call the SAT technique. So this is just a technique to help you structure your essays. So you need to be specific about the change that you want to that you are talking about and you want to achieve, the outcome, and who is going to benefit. So once you write, use this SAT technique to go through your essay and see if it meets the SAT technique. Am I specific on who is going to benefit? Am I specific on the outcome that I'm going to achieve? Am I specific on the change that I'm going to create? If your essay is able to demonstrate that it is specific on the outcome, the change, and who is going to benefit, then you've ticked the S part of this technique. Your essay is clear by being specific on who is going to benefit. The second part is achievable or attainable, which is A, as part of the SAT technique. So is the problem that I want to solve that I've mentioned, is it achievable? Is it are you realistic that you can achieve that within the T or the time frame that you've set? So for example, you want to ensure that you contribute to sustainable cities by advocating for policy changes. Do you think that can be achieved by 2030? Is it realistic that it can be achieved by 2030 if you're going to start your studies in 2026? 2027 you complete, you go back to your country. So that gives you 2028, 29, and 30. So within 3 years, do you think that advocacy is going to help you achieve or attain this outcome that you want to achieve. If it's not, then adjust on your time frame until it sounds realistic. So if you use this technique to go through your essay, then you are going to see that you've clearly answered this essay, and it will help you gain high marks, as this is considered to be part of the primary indicators like I've already mentioned. Right. The fourth part, the next part of the essay is to demonstrate the impact, how the impact that you're going to create will be measured. So how do you write this essay component? The first thing is that you need to link the answer to what you've written in part 1 to part 3. So you've talked about the problem in part 1, which exists at a global, national, or regional level. In part 2, you demonstrated how you are going to apply the skills that you are going to gain. In part 3, you've demonstrated the outcome you want to achieve, who is going to benefit. Now in part 4 is to demonstrate how you're going to measure everything that you've done from part 1 to part 3. How is your impact going to be measured? So you need to write clearly. So for you to write clearly, you need to use a number of tools that are used in your field to demonstrate impact. So each of the fields, they have different indices, statistics, and tools that they use to demonstrate the impact, or to demonstrate or to evaluate if a project has been implemented effectively or not. So use those tools that are based to your field for you to demonstrate how you are going to measure the impact. So some of them will be, for example, you use the World Bank or you use the World Health Organization statistics at a global level, because they provide different ways of demonstrating if the impact has been achieved or not. For example, when you look at the Sustainable Development Goals, those are considered to be at a global level. There are indicators or indices that you can use to measure each of the Sustainable Development Goals. So you can use such to demonstrate how you are going to measure the impact that you want to create. You can use national statistics at your country level. If you have the National Statistic Authority or agency, look at their website. How do they measure impact that is related to your field? In the National Development Plan, if your country has one National Development Plan, there is a component that will talk about this sector. Mostly should be under monitoring and evaluation component. Read through and see what are some of the indicators that they are going to be measuring. How are they going to be measuring them? Then you just adopt and replicate those, as this is how you are going to be able to demonstrate how your impact is going to be measured. You can use research, you can use surveys, you can use interviews, you can use other policies or the number of policies. So if you are in policy advocacy and you are going to advocate for 3 policies to be adopted or to be implemented by 2035, so you are going to, your measurement will be that by 2035, these 2 policies should have been adopted by whoever will be the beneficiaries, and they should have been implemented. So you would have connected the essays like that to demonstrate how you are going to measure them. So the measurement there will be that these 2 policies should have been implemented by 2035. You can also use a focus group as a way of demonstrating how you measure impact. So whatever is applicable to the field of your study, use those as a way of demonstrating how you are going to measure the impact that you are going to create. Okay, you can also use case studies and testimonials, maybe by people giving testimonies of the impact that you're going to create, or case studies that you are going to carry out. All such information can be included as the way you're going to measure the impact. Right, now moving on to the next essay question. So this question is about the career essay plan. This question reads as follows. The selection panel wants to understand how your proposed study will assist you in your career. So you describe the skills that you expect to gain from this scholarship and your career plan once you return home afterwards. So you need to give them clearly the objective during your award, your career plan in the 5 years, and your long-term plan. So how do you answer this question? As you can see, this question is in 3 parts. So the first part is your objectives during your studies. So I'm advising you to include at least 5 objectives that you want to achieve during your studies. Is it for you to graduate with a distinction? Do you want to gain a certain skills? So include at least 5 objectives that you want to achieve during your studies. It could be both academic objectives and non-academic objectives. Maybe you would want to visit a museum or different museum or other tourist attraction that you've heard of and you've dreamed of one day visiting. Include that as an objective. Maybe there's a conference or a workshop that the Commonwealth Scholarship provides to scholars while they are studying, and you've heard of it and you would want to benefit from it by gaining some skills. Include it. Any other academic and extracurricular activities that you want to undertake, include it, but have a balance between the two as you write at least 5 objectives during your studies. Now, when it comes to writing the second and the third part of this essay, which talks about, the second part talks about your immediate career plan, your career plan in the next 5 years after graduation. So if you're going to graduate in 2027, then you're looking at from 2027 to 2032. What will be your career plan? And in your long-term plan, you are talking of something beyond 2032. So it could be 10 years from then, from 2027, which we are looking around 2037 and beyond. So as you are writing this component, you need to use what we call the SMART technique to essay writing. This is going to help you structure your essay in a clear and concise manner that the reader can easily follow and see that, yes, indeed, you have a clear career plan, and they will be able to agree with you that you are worth sponsoring because you know what you want to do, you know where you want to be in the next 5 years, you know where you want to be in the next 10 years or in your long-term plan. So what is the START technique, the SMART technique? So the S stands for being specific. So you need to be specific on what you want to do in your 5 years plan. What do you want to do within the first 3 years and up to 5 years? You need to be very specific. Even when it comes to your long-term plan, you need to be specific. What are you going to do in the next 7 years? What are you going to do in the next 10 years? You need to be very specific what you're going to do, where do you want to do it, when do you want to do it, how you want to do it. So you need to be very specific as you are writing your essay. And the second one is that your essay or your writing, whatever is being specific, needs to be measurable. You should write something that is measurable. So if you want to become, maybe you want to become a politician and implement some of the policies that you would want to implement, you need to be specific and you need to demonstrate that it's measurable. You can be able to measure the impact that you're going to create. So it needs to be measurable. That goal should be measurable. For example, if you are going to want to be the president of your country, you know quite all right that you cannot do that in your 5 years plan. It has to be a long-term plan because you need to develop as a politician. So you need to start by demonstrating that in your 5 years plan, you are going to maybe become a member of parliament, or you are going to join a political party and do ABCD. Then in your long-term plan, then that's when you can now bring in the issue of being the president. So that shows that it's measurable and it's also attainable in that format, and it's being realistic because you cannot realistically say that you are going to be a president within the 5 years if you do not have any political connection. So this is how you write your career plan. It needs to be specific, it needs to be measurable, how you are going to implement it in both the 5 years or the long term. It needs to be achievable. Yes, you can dream, but dream within the realistic dreams or goal, and attach a time frame. So you need to have a time frame on how you want to apply your career plan. So your first 5 years should be segmented into your plan that you are going to do within the first year of graduating up to 3 years, then from 3 years to 5 years. Your long-term plan can also be done the same way. You can write from 7 to 10 years and then beyond 10 years to demonstrate that you are putting impact, and your career plan needs to be very clear. So once you've written your career essay, come back to this and use this technique. Am I being specific in what I want to achieve in my 5-year plan and in my long-term plan? Have I written what is measurable? Have I written something that is attainable and realistic? Have I included the time frame when I'm going to do what I want to do? If you've included this, then your essay will be flowing logically and you will be assured that you're going to score good marks. Okay, so your essay should also again be linked to the skills that you are going to gain. There's no way that you're going to have a career plan that is disjointed from the skills that you're going to gain in the master's. You actually need to demonstrate that you are building on as time goes by. So from the skills that you gain and what you are going to explain that you are going to apply immediately in the previous essay, when it comes to your 5-year plan, you need to build on what you had mentioned that you are doing immediately you go back home. So you build on the skills. Again, in your long-term career plan, you need to demonstrate that you are building on what you said you are going to do in the 5 years plan. So you build on from time to time, and that is how you'll be able to show the reader that you have a clear plan, you know what you want to do. Okay, moving on to the next essay. This essay is a study in the UK question, and the question reads, provide a short outline of your proposed study. This should be written to an audience that does not have any prior knowledge of the subject and must not be overly technical. An abbreviation or specialist term must be explained. So again, this essay component, please understand, is that saying a short outline. So you're just providing a short outline. You're not going into details. It's just a short outline. So how do you write this essay? Start with a bigger picture because it's a short outline. You're just introducing the broader issues in your field of study. So there is this problem which you had already highlighted in your developmental essay 1. Highlight it again and demonstrate that it's a bigger problem, and because this problem exists and you want to contribute to solving the problem, this is what you want to study. So include the title of the study that you want to study. If you have a proposed title of the dissertation that you need to do, you can also include that, and also explain briefly that it is relevant to development. So you are just briefly and not going into detail. Okay, this is how you'll be able to answer this component, and you can also include on how you hope to conduct any research if you are thinking of doing a research in this area. So the main point here is that you keep it simple, clear, and jargon-free. So no use of technical words in your field. Make it simple and just introduce the bigger picture. Highlight the issues that are in that field. Include the title of your study, which is the course of your study, and also explain the developmental terms on how that course is relevant to solving the problem that you've identified. And if you have any research topic in mind, you also explain that research topic. So this is how you'll be able to answer this question. You're just briefly highlighting as the question requires. Then when it comes to the next question, this is now the one where you're going to provide the detailed study plan. So this is the second essay on the study in the UK, but this one now is where you provide a detailed study plan and not just the short outline. So this one saying provide a detailed plan of your proposed study the selection panel, we want to understand why you have selected the proposed course. So that is the first component, why you've selected your proposed course. So you need to understand and answer why you've selected that course and why the university. You should remember that although the panel will be well informed, they are not likely to be specialists in your subject. So describe why your proposed course and your university. What you are looking for in that course needs to come out, and any dissertation or topic that you have in mind. So these are the components that needs to be clearly answered as you are writing this essay. So how do you write? Before you write, you need to brainstorm. And how do you brainstorm? Research on your course. So it is your chosen course that you need to research on. And once you've researched on, consider if your chosen course is able to demonstrate how it is connected to your previous studies and career. So if you are changing career, then you are going to need to demonstrate why you need to change career and how this is going to help you in your career aspiration. However, if you did your undergraduate was in engineering and you are studying you want to study a master's that is in engineering, so you are building on, so you are just going to demonstrate, or you need to ensure that your course demonstrates that you are building on your previous studies and your career aspiration as you are brainstorming. So this is part of you selecting the courses. The second thing is that is your chosen course able to demonstrate that the skills and the knowledge in the key modules that you're going to learn will help you achieve your goals or bridge the gap in knowledge that you have at the moment for you to contribute better to the development of your country. You consider that as well. Again, the course that you want to study, is it related to your study objectives? You are just brainstorming at this point. So once this is done, how can you connect it to the Commonwealth Scholarship themes or to any other developmental theme? So consider all these as you're brainstorming before you start writing this essay. Then when it comes to writing now the actual essay in terms of the detailed study plan, you need to write this plan using what I call the idea technique. So this is a technique that is going to help you understand if you have clearly answered the question in full. So in the first letter, I means interest. So what are you interested in? So this is where now you need to ensure that you've mentioned the course. You also mentioned the university that you are interested in and why are you interested in it. Okay. The second one is development. You need to ensure that in your essay, you've demonstrated how the course and the university that you are interested in is going to give you the skills that are connected to the developmental issue or the research gap that you want to address. So it should be able to give you skills that are going to be able to help you to contribute to development. E will be an example. So you need now to give the exact examples of such modules that are going to give you the skills that you need. A is the M. This is where now you link the gaps that you've identified, whether in your professional background or in your future plan, and you link them. Because I'm going to gain these skills, then this will help me in my future plan of doing ABCD. And you also highlight what attracts you to the UK apart from demonstrating what attracts you to the course and the university. So once you've written this essay, again come back and use the idea technique. Read through the essay and then use the idea technique, because this is the technique that I usually use when I'm proofreading someone's essay. Have they mentioned the interest, what they are interested in, what course they are interested in, and what university they are interested in? Have they mentioned how it's the new skills they're going to gain and how they are related to development? Have they given examples of the key modules that are going to give them the skills that they are mentioning? And have they also demonstrated that there is a link between what they studied, their professional background, and their future plan? If you've not been able to link these, then you need to go back to your drawing board and rewrite and ensure that the idea technique is fulfilled for you to answer this question clearly. And you also highlight the information on how the UK attracts you, what attracts you to the UK. Is it because the course has to be done in 1 year as compared to others where you have to do 2 years? You think maybe 1 year 1 year is enough for you to gain the much needed skills and going back to your country and contribute to development rather than spending 2 years before going and contribute to development. So whatever attracts you to the UK should also be highlighted in that essay. The next essay is about the personal statement essay. So in this essay, the question goes like: the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission encourages applicants from application from candidates who have faced significant disadvantages or personal barriers to higher education or underrepresented in the field of work or study. So please summarize the way in which your personal background has encouraged you to want to make an impact. Remember, again, it is your personal background on how it has made you to want to contribute or to create an impact in your country. You may wish to highlight areas where you have already made a significant contribution. So you highlight the areas where you've made already an impact, including overcoming a personal barrier or a community barrier in accessing to education or within your field. So ensure that all these highlighted parts are clearly answered as you answer this question. So how do you answer this question? Again, you need to start by brainstorming, especially for those who have vast work experience or who have, vast work experience. It's usually important that you brainstorm before you write this essay so that you are able to select the component that is strong in terms of answering this essay. So how do you brainstorm? The first thing is to reflect on your personal background, considering different aspects such as your socio-economic, your culture, your geographical background. Are you coming from a war-torn country? What are your cultural beliefs? Are there any other conflicts? Are there any gender-based issues in your community or that you overcame? So all such issues, you consider them and you highlight them. Are there any issues of being underrepresented, maybe your gender, or there are some ethnicity issues? We are coming from the rural areas, or there are some political instabilities. All such information, you need to write them down and then think through your personal experience. How will you be able to overcome some of those barriers as you were growing up? So other barriers that you faced, also include them and be specific. So here you're just brainstorming, write as much as you can remember. And once you write your response to barriers, you should be able to be linked to become the motivation. So you need to demonstrate now that you have these barriers and this motivated you to make ABCD, which brought about a positive change. So this can be either a personal or something within the community. Maybe within the community you saw that children were dropping out of school, especially girl children, and then you were able to do ABCD, and that brought a bit of change. Maybe 500 children were able to be enrolled in school, or whatever activities happened within your community. So here you're just brainstorming, and the emphasis is on your commitment to development. So it's, again, even as you are writing about your personal issues, there should be a link to commitment to development. Okay, so once you do that, the next step now is to draft this essay question. So how do you draft the essay question? There is another technique that you can use, or once you've written your essay, you can use this technique to go through and see if you have clearly answered this question. So this technique goes like this. The B is for barrier. You need to think through in your essay, have you written the barrier, the specific barrier at a personal level or in a community level that you overcame or you were part of solving? Is it relevant? Who was affected? Is it just you or is it a community? So it has to be a barrier that is relevant, and what action was overtaken, or what action did you undertake to overcome or to move around that barrier that you've identified, and what difference did you make. So this will be now the results of your action. So for example, the example that I gave about children dropping out of school, especially girls, maybe there was advocacy with the leadership in that community, and through that advocacy they brought in some policies, or some rules were formulated that girls should be encouraged to go to school, and that led to maybe 500 girls going into school. So that is the result. You are showing that the result of that advocacy, 500 were retained in school. So you need to demonstrate that. And finally, the growth. You need to reflect now, what have you learned, you as your person, what experience, what change has come out that has made you to grow personally because of that experience or the barrier that you've contributed to solving. And finally, empowerment. How do you think the scholarship is going to help you to be able to contribute further to what you are already doing? So you need to demonstrate that you've already done this, you've contributed already to this, and this is how you've grown. And by you studying at a master's level, by you being offered the Commonwealth Scholarship, this will give you an added advantage for you to contribute further to a larger scale. So once you've written and you use this bridge technique to evaluate your essay, you will not need to have any mentor, as long as you've used this technique and you have assessed yourself without bias. Then you'll be able to see that you've written the essay correctly. Right. The next essay is about voluntary and readership essay, and the essay reads: summarize the way in which you have engaged in voluntary activities and the opportunity you've had to demonstrate leadership. So you need to summarize voluntary activities and also demonstrate leadership. Okay. Again, the first part is to brainstorm. So how do you brainstorm? Get a paper, start by creating a table, and list out all the jobs that you've done, all the voluntary activities that you're able to remember, and all the other communities activities that you've done, whether you've done them at church, you've done them in your profession, you've done them with your friends. List everything. Here you're just listing so that you are able to select the best from what you're going to list. And once you've done that, for the job that you've had, include the position that you had and the roles that you were able to, what you were actually able to do in that job position that you held. Then what other tasks did you do? So you look at your job description. If you have the job description, highlight the key important areas of your job description that talks about voluntary, readership, and generally making impact in your work environment. Then at this point, like I've mentioned, you're just listing everything that relates to readership and voluntary. This will just help you to select the best examples that you're going to write in the essay. Then the second step now is to select the best example from the wealth of experience that you have in terms of leadership and voluntary. So from that list, you select at least two that will be able to demonstrate that you have a drive in terms of changing the community or in your work environment. Then it demonstrates the impact that has been created by improving the outcomes of whatever challenges are there. It should be able to solve a specific challenge that is existing. Okay, and you can use what I call the true technique to select the best example that you finally going to use to write your essay. So what is the true technique? So T stands for a true example. Should be a true example that you've had in terms of leadership or voluntary. So you're not lying, you are giving a true example. It should be a relevant example that connects to other essays. Find a way of connecting to other essays in terms of what you've done, because you want to have a compelling application that connects from one essay to the final essay. So if you are talking about health system as the area of where you want to study, try to find readership that is related to health and voluntary activities that are related to within the health sector where you've contributed. Then U stands for unique. So the example that you are giving should be unique to yourself, and you should be able to demonstrate on how you were able to go beyond your job description. Maybe your job description said that you needed to just do counseling of the patient, but you went beyond counseling and maybe volunteered as a counselor or as a health care provider by taking the patient to the laboratory or by making up follow-ups and ensuring that the patient was reminded on when they needed to do their next checkup or or visit to the hospital, whatever activity that you did that demonstrate that you went beyond just your job description. That is going to demonstrate that indeed that is a unique example that you have, that you know yourself what you did. And that is the reason why you need to start by brainstorming for you to know what you can include. And finally, that example should be able to demonstrate real impact or real result or change. It doesn't matter if that change is a change that appeared to one person or to one patient, to 10, to 1,000, but it should be able to demonstrate tangible and real result or impact. Okay, so once you use this two technique from the wealth of experience that you have, you are able to select one or two examples. Now it's time to write the essay. So you draft this essay, the voluntary and readership essay, by using the STAR technique. So this is a STAR technique which may be familiar to most of you, but how do you write using the STAR technique? If you are not familiar with this technique, the first thing is that you start with a situation. So you give a situation when you were able to demonstrate that readership skill or when you are able to demonstrate that voluntary activities. So you give a situation, and I'm proposing that the situation component should carry at least 5% of the word count for this essay. So you give the situation, who was in this leadership, which is you, what was happening, where was it happening, or when was it happening. So you give the situation. From the situation, you give the task, what needed to be done, what were the responsibilities that needed to be done for you to demonstrate that leadership skill or that voluntary activity. Again, you should account for at least 5% of the word count. Then A is the action. So what exactly actions did you undertake? You remember, this question is about your leadership and your voluntary activities. Even when you are doing this within the group, you need to bring out the actual actions that you as a person you did. So select an example that demonstrates what you as a person did as a leader, as a volunteer. And this should carry 50% of the word count for this essay. So you need to demonstrate the action. You did A, B, C, D. That is going to give you an upper hand. And once you do that, then you need to demonstrate the results. What was the impact that you created? And this should account for the remainder of the 40% of the word count for this essay. So the results should be able to be quantified. Again, you need to use numbers, percentages, and other statistics that you can use to quantify the results of the impact of your readership and of the voluntary activities that you undertook. Okay. Then, as you are writing this essay, use leadership vocabulary that is going to help you to demonstrate what exactly you did. For example, I led 2 people to undertake ABCD. I persuaded the manager to do ABCD. I oversaw 5 employees in carrying out ABCD. I delegated, I inspired, I instituted, I overcame. Such words are very important to use as you are writing the essays because they will be able to demonstrate the communication skills, the leadership skills that you have within you. Remember, this is also a primary indicator when it comes to selection. Okay, so once other techniques also that you can use to write this essay, if you find that the STAR approach is not a good approach for you, maybe in terms of word count, you can use these other techniques. So the first one that you can use is the CAR approach. So instead of giving the situation, then you after giving the situation, then you give the task, the action, and the results. You can just give the context or the challenge that is there to solve, what actions you did, and then the results. So this is a short form of the STAR approach. You can also use the PAR approach, which instead of giving the context, so you just give the problem itself, the action, and the results. They are essentially the same. The main point to address is that your actions should account 50% of the word count, and the results should be able to account for 40% of the word count. So this is where you put more weight on what you did and also what was the results. So as you are writing, again, you need to structure your essay by having an introduction, the main body, and a conclusion. And in your conclusion, you should highlight how the scholarship is even going to be able to enhance your leadership skills and your voluntary activities. So you highlight again and reiterate how the scholarship will enhance your leadership and voluntary skills. Okay, so when it comes to reducing word count, if you want to reduce word count, you go overboard in terms of writing. As you are writing, you can use different techniques to try and reduce the word count. One of them is by avoiding the use of adverbs and use active verbs. Once you use active verbs, you'll be able to reduce on the word count. You can use synonyms. By using synonyms, again, you can reduce word counts. So those are some of the techniques that you can use for writing the essays. And apart from that, the Commonwealth Scholarship website is full of useful information that you can use as you are preparing for the scholarship. There is a component or there is a section of the website that talks about the application guidance and advice to applicants, so you can read through that information to help you. There is a feedback to unsuccessful applicant, which you can read through so that you avoid making the same mistakes that previous applicants have made. There is a section that talks about references. This is where you can get the information and give it to your referees for them to be able to give you comparing references. And remember, references are primary indicators when it comes to grading your application, and therefore they need to be detailed. And there is a section that talks about the general conditions if you want to understand the general condition of the scholarship, which talks about the eligibility. In this case, there is information about which courses are eligible and the universities that are eligible, which countries are eligible, and what makes you as an eligible candidate. So all that information, you find it in the general conditions, and you'll be able to read through from the website. And finally, there is a section that talks about the frequently asked questions. So if you find that you are not able to answer any of the questions, you can read through the frequently asked questions, and it will be able to help you to answer most of the question. However, if you have any other questions from what I've presented, please drop your questions in the comment section, and I'll be able to address them in the comment section for the benefit of yourself and for the benefit of others. And thank you for reaching the end of this video. Please, again, I emphasize that you subscribe to my channel and share this video so that others can benefit. And I wish you all the best as you are applying for this scholarship. This is where the video ends, and thank you very much for reaching the end.